look to see. Oh, it is too? It's crazy. Hello, people. It is your girl live on a Friday night per usual. Um oh yep. Look at the you see what it said? Yeah. um but yeah, hey y'all. Um I won't be before you long. I know it's a Friday night and people are doing things. Um Buttons please. I just need you. I'm actually gonna use them today. No, I'm talking about mine. Like my own. Mhm. See, it be so long. Every time I come in, I just have to start over and over. Maybe one of these days I will go back to being consistent. But yeah, hey y'all. You don't have them no more? Don't mind him. He's just getting his shit together. But yes, hello. I won't be before you long today. Um, I so I'm gonna preface the show like this. So I used to have it where, like, if you ever listen to me on audio, um, in my intro, and I haven't used it in a very long time, but actually, you know what? It's on here. So this is the intro that I used to use for my audio, and I was getting ready to give a disclaimer, but I technically don't have to because I already did. So we just gonna listen. Just go on the journey with me. Actually, you know what? I'm not because I don't know. Wait, no, because that intro had an intro, and I don't know if it's on here. Um, okay, I haven't pressed the button, so we're gonna press this together and find out. Yeah, I know. Okay, it's fine. But this is my intro. I was gonna give a disclaimer, but I already gave it, so y'all just gonna listen to it for a little bit.
Hey y'all, you are now tuned into Conversations with Coco, and I am your host, Coco. Join me as we take a journey inside of my mind, my Pisces mind. I am going to share with you my thoughts, my feelings, my frustrations, the good, the bad, and the sometimes ugly, because life is not always pretty, right? So, I am inviting you all to take this trip with me. Let's get started.
Hey, now if I push you to go off, right? Oh, I forgot about this part. I'm going back.
Is this
I'm
thing
sorry,
on?
y'all. I feel like this is
Is this
nostalgic.
on?
I missed this. You know what? I'm gonna start playing this at the beginning of my shows because I didn't realize how much I missed that. I have an intro and an outro. I'm gonna start using that. That made me realize I missed that. Wow. Okay. But yeah, so today it might feel like I'm rambling all over the place, but let me describe it like this. My mind, think of it as a desk with papers scattered all over it, and I am trying to pick things up, read them, and put them where they're supposed to go so I can clear out my mind to do other shit. So that's kind of what we're going to do, right? But before we do that, um I've been listening to music heavy this week because I feel like when life is lifing, music is that one thing that kind of grounds me and centers me and kind of allows me to escape really. So every single day consists of me, my headphones, and music. So I forgot what I was listening to, but up in my algorithm came Country Grammar, Nelly. And I was like, oh my God, you have those moments where like when I was younger, I always listened to like all the Nelly stuff. I was a big Sean fan, like early days. And so Country Grammar came on. I was listening to that. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Nellyville. So then I started listening to that. And then I started listening to like, oh, Big Sean. I really just had a day that day and it was a good one. So for my What's My Mood segment for today.
Like damn, she on her move. Like damn, she on her move.
I am going to play one of my favorite songs from Welcome to Nellyville. And we are going to take this nostalgic journey together. Nellyville Universal and won't need those problems. But that album made me so happy. I was like, I completely forgot about it. So yeah, I've really been listening to that. That was some good shit back then. But yeah, so let's get into today. I know I've been playing it like had that and Country Grammar because they were both like good. Which one? Ooh, honestly, okay, hold on because I got it right here. Let me see. So, hold on. Ooh, I liked. hmm, Pimp Juice, Nellyville, um, Splurge, and Number One. But what I will say is that more of my likes came from Country Grammar. Like Country Grammar. See, no, let me see. So Country Grammar. Ooh, I liked Greed, Hate, Envy. Um, EI, Thicky Thick Girl. Batter Up. Never Let Them See You Sweat. I played that whole album straight through. I can play Nelly Doing straight through. My song that I don't think a lot of people really gave respect to was The Game. The Game. That's the one where old girl robbed him. He was in love with her. I feel like I vaguely remember this one. It's been so long. Yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So much of this I forgot about, and it just made me so happy. Yeah, so of course those ones, but I've been having a good week with the music aspect. So yeah, so the last 2 weeks have been rough. So starting last Monday, which is actually very strange. I was talking to my friend about this, but last Monday, I think it was the eclipse. I got up bright and early in the morning. I went to go work out for like an hour or so, came back, dropped Dylan off, showered, got ready for work. I was home that day. Like things were good. I was productive, feeling good, all that. Then all of a sudden, like about 2 o'clock, I just started feeling sick. Like I was super fatigued. I had zero energy. I wasn't coughing or sneezing or anything, but I just did not feel good. And that feeling lingered from Monday afternoon pretty much all through last week. It was almost like I felt down. I felt like I was coming down with something, but because I wasn't coughing and sneezing, I just could not put my finger on what it was. So it was just a rough week. Through that, I was still, which I shouldn't have, but I tend to push myself way too hard when I'm not feeling well. But I still went to work, um, which was very hard. And I think by the time Thursday came, I had kind of started feeling a bit better. Um, but in the midst of me not, feeling well, I still have a host of responsibilities and shit to do and all of that. So I was driving Dylan to school and we were having a conversation about his future. Um, he's getting ready to be 15 in less than 60 days. And, we're starting to have those conversations about his life and, what his next steps are after high school. Because, I mean, before you know it, we'll be at that point. We are like down to 3 years. And so, he has dreams and goals and aspirations. And he made it very clear that, once he's out of high school, he doesn't have a desire to stay here. Like he wants to go somewhere else. And I told him, like, I 100% respect that. I don't want to stay here either. Like, we'll ride out these 3 years. And then from there, I said, we'll figure out what to do next. And I said, more than likely, That'll be us going our, separate ways, quote unquote. And saying that, it made me emotional. So I was like, okay, like, I'm sorry, we probably got to switch it up a little bit because I feel like I'm getting ready to, Um, and so he was like, well, once I do that, what do you think that you're going to be doing? What's your plan for yourself? And I was like, you know what? I don't know. I said, it'll just be me. I'll be by myself. And then he was like, dang, man, that's kind of sad. And so I was like, damn, like, you didn't have to say all that. But I really was thinking about it like, damn, like, I I have about 3 years, and me and my kid are going to be going two different directions. And of course, so many parents before me have gone through this as far as having an empty nest, but I feel like it hits harder for me because it's just me and him. So it hits a little bit harder because there is no one else. So once he leaves, it's like we're really living two different lives. And the emotional side of me just thinks about, like him being out in the world on his own, living life and not being under my care anymore. But then I also think about myself, and he raised a good question. What are you going to be doing? And so it really took my mind on this journey back to a place that I had been before, but then life happened and I got pulled away from it. So, like I said, it might seem like it's all over the place, but it ties in and hopefully there's a message in it. When it comes to the plans that he has for his future, I have no intention of being a main character in that. I plan to play the supportive role. And here's why. When it was time for me to decide what college I wanted to go to, the decision was made for me for the most part. I got accepted to Marquette University, DePaul University, Central State University, Florida A&M, and then I think it was like another school or two in there. Of course, like the Wisconsin schools. I had every intention on leaving Wisconsin. My number one choice was going to be FAMU. Number two was Central State University. And number three was DePaul, because DePaul was not in Wisconsin, but close enough. So if I wanted to come back, I could. But, my family decided that it was best for me to go to Marquette. At that time, Marquette was this big name. Oh my God, it's Marquette. The notoriety, just being able to say somebody go to Marquette. So I ended up there. And it's literally one of my biggest regrets in life. I didn't even finish there. I only stayed there for 2 years. And then I left and went to Florida for 2 years. So when it comes to my child, I want to make sure that I don't put him in a position where I'm making that decision for him. I want him to make it for himself, do what makes him happy. We weigh the pros and cons, and I support him in that. I spent a lot of, I feel like, years being that helicopter parent and hovering over, and I can't say that that's effective. What has been effective for me is really taking a step back and allowing him to live life and make decisions and make mistakes, because what that does is it's teaching him how to resolve conflicts. It's teaching him problem solving skills. It's teaching him the difference between a good and bad decision, consequences. It's helping build him and teach him so that when he's on his own in a few years, these are skills that he has. So I don't want to make the decision as far as where he goes and what he does. I don't want to do that. So what it reminded me of is that one thing that's important as a parent is to not lose your identity and who you are at the core, because without those titles, you are still an individual. And a lot of times as parents, especially moms, we get so wrapped up in parenting that we really forget who we are. And so much of our identity is embedded in our children, and we struggle to like learn exactly who we are. And for, I would say, the majority of my son's life, aside from maybe the last year, He has been parented by a mom that has been in survival mode. And when you are in survival mode, your thought process is different. The way you move is different. The way you make decisions is different. Everything is different because you're literally trying to get through the day. And you don't have the mental or emotional or physical capacity to think past that day really too much into the future to decide what your goals are and what your dreams are and what your aspirations, because you're just trying to live on a day-to-day basis. And that's the parent that he has had for the majority of his life. Who I am as a person is somebody who I have put so much time and effort and energy into everybody else and everything else. Um, I'm extremely supportive. I'm the type of friend and person where if you selling ice cream, I'm gonna be scooping. Um, if you have an event, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna help you, what you need, all of that. But the downside of it is I feel like I've done it so much for other people and I have neglected to do it for myself. I have neglected to put in that same support and energy into the dreams and the goals that I have for myself, number one. And then number two, on the other side, I've been so exhausted because of all of like the weight that I'm carrying, that's most of it's not even mine. Um, that's I don't even have the time or the energy to think about planning a future and what my identity is and what that looks like. Because at the end of the day, there's no space left for it. Um, and I've really been, I don't, it's crazy that he says that one thing to me and it kind of sent me on this path and kind of pulled me back. I feel like it's crazy, like how the universe works in that way. It's like super weird. I just want to say, sidebar, speaking of the weight I'm carrying, I just want to try to know this shirt I got on is an extra large. Stay tuned because I'm going to be doing a show about that as well. I think it might be time for me to actually open up about that. But yeah, I realized like I have a business idea right now and I've had it probably since like end of last year, early this year. And I have not even taken the steps that I need for me to be able to start it. And I know that I can make money off of it. I know that I can. And it's been so much going on. I haven't had the chance to be able to sit down and plan out what that looks like. And one thing that I know is that when you spend so much of your life being in survival mode and you finally come out of that, you really go through a process where you have to get to know who you are all over again. You have to get to know who you are when life is stable, when you are not struggling, when you are not focused on survival. It's really like you have to get to know who you are all the way over again, especially in a situation like mine where the titles that I hold in people's lives have taken more precedence over who I am as an individual. And um in the midst of being in survival mode, one thing that was running parallel to that because of like my past traumas and past situations, and one thing that actually made me, and I thought about this when I was talking to my son, one thing running parallel for me was this obsession with like love and like being in it and finding it for several reasons. Number one, I felt like, okay, you fall in love, you got a man, whatever, you got somebody to actually help you in this life. You don't got to be in survival mode. You don't got to do this by yourself because you got somebody there. So who wouldn't? It's like, oh, who wouldn't want a life like that? And so it was something that I was always obsessing over and fantasizing about and dreaming about all the time. This is running parallel to me trying to survive. And then another thought that I had in my mind is that I wanted my son to be in a 2-parent household, and I wanted him to have the opportunity to see me being loved correctly. I wanted him to see what it looks like for a man to be affectionate with your mom, what a healthy relationship looks like. So for all of his existence, I have been trying to put us in a position where he had that example in his household so that when he left the household, he can carry that with him and that would influence the decisions that he makes when it comes to women. And, like I said, he's getting ready to be 15. And that's something that I have not had a chance to ever do for him. And then in my mind, I'm like, well, shit, it's 3 years left. And at this point, the bulk of his childhood is over. So that's something that I was not able to accomplish for him. So I started thinking about all of these plans and the things that I had said that I wanted to do for him. And it feels like I'm out of time now. And I mean, of course, I understand that I'm not. But in my mind, I keep thinking 3 years, 3 years. He turns 18. He's gone. He's already saying it. And I'm sending him out into the world without these examples that I so desperately wanted him to have, to the point where I settled and, I put myself in situations I shouldn't have been in. And, you know, things happened to me that shouldn't have, because in my mind, I wanted to have this thing solely for my child and myself as well, but solely for my child. Um, and so, of course, thinking about that made me feel a way. And it also reminded me of the mind space that I was in prior to shit hitting the fan for me before we moved here. So before we got here, I was in therapy pretty much up into, I think, maybe like May. Um, I was in therapy and I had not only did I have a male therapist, but he was a black man therapist. And the things that he would say and help me maneuver through were so profound. And I think what made it so profound was the fact that I was hearing it from a man's perspective. And so a situation had happened, I would say probably end of maybe 2022, maybe early 2023. And it was a previous situation. And I had ideas in my mind of where I wanted it to go, and it didn't go that way. And I kind of went into the state of depression because I felt like I failed yet again. And I had made it up in my mind that I just wasn't going for it and I just wasn't doing it anymore. And so I remember talking to my therapist about it and not even realizing the way that I was explaining to him the situation. I was explaining it as though I wasn't the victim. And I was explaining it as if I was one that was in the wrong. And he was like, yeah, like, I get what you're saying. And I'm validating your feelings because your feelings are you deserve to have those feelings. But what about you? What about focusing on, the people that love you unconditionally and you don't have to fight or beg for that? What about the love that your son gives you? What about the love that your, family, friends? What about the love that you give yourself? Like, what about those things? And I don't know what it was about him saying that, but it was almost like a light switch went off. And I think it was really the first time that I realized just how rooted in my identity and just how obsessed I was with like this idea of love and how it held me back to the point where I wasn't even focused on the things that I should have been focused on that were right, like in front of me. And after that therapy session, I feel like that part of my identity started to shed. And now I'm at the point where I completely got rid of it. But it's like, okay, now that you got rid of, you're not in survival mode and you're no longer rooted in, this idea and this obsession of love. Who are you? And as I was starting that journey of figuring that out, then all of the stuff happened with my job. I lost that. and then back in survival mode. So again, my identity gets put on the back burner. So in having that conversation with my son and kind of reminded me like, damn, this is the space that I was in before all the shit happened with my job, and this is the work that I was doing, and I never got a chance to finish it. Um, as I was preparing for the show, I was thinking about how I was just explaining in the therapy session, and I remembered that I had sent my best friends a text message, and I sent this to them because they are the ones that have been there like through all of these different storms and phases and all of my, love life and survival mode. Like they've been there through it all. And I needed to be able to say this out loud. Number one, so I could be held accountable. Number two, because it was me being honest with myself. And number three, it was me kind of coming to terms with reality that this was who I was all this time. And I can't be this person anymore. And I need y'all to hold me accountable to it. So your girl keeps receipts. I sent this text message October 27th, 2022. Don't ask me why it's still in my actual phone, because it probably should be on the app somewhere. But yeah. It said therapy was hard today. I realized that so much of who I am has been wrapped up in my want for romantic love and the desire and longing for it. Like I actually said it out loud to him, and him is my therapist. I realized that can't be my life anymore, and I need to move on. I told him that I really want to accept that this fairy tale idea of love will never happen for me, and I need to accept being single because maybe that's just what I'm meant to be. And when I sent that to them, they were like, um, are you okay? Like, you good? Cause we never heard you say that out loud. So we just wanted to check in. And I'm like, I'm good. And I really did feel like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. And I have pretty much carried that with me. Like I just don't, I'm I'm just in a space where I don't want to be bothered because I just don't see a purpose in it anymore. And part of it could very well be my body protecting itself because I know what comes with that. Um, as far as like having men in my space, it usually is just not a peaceful situation. Um, but it could also very well just be me not shedding that part of my identity and me focusing on myself and me always praying for this peace and it actually being delivered to me now. Um, so here I am back at square one trying to figure out like who is Kayla? Not the mom, not the daughter, not the sister, not the aunt, not the friend, not the coworker. Who am I? And what is it that I want for myself? And what is it that I want to do for myself? And that's me laying out these goals that I know that I've had in the back of my mind. And what do I need to do to execute and push those things forward? You know, you're getting ready to be an empty nester sooner rather than later. Do you want to find a remote job and travel the world? Do you want to just move closer to your son so that you're there for support and just build this new life closer to where he is? What do you want to do? And the part of me that gets excited about figuring that out, I feel like it's almost like a second chance for me because I spent all of my 20s and it'll be all of my 30s, like, well, most of my 20s and all of my 30s, like just being his mom. And so it's almost like this thing where in my 40s, I'm able to kind of circle back and maybe have like my 20s in the way that it was supposed to be. You know, just chilling out by myself and traveling the world and meeting new people and learning new things and really just fully focus on myself and not have to be worried about like lugging my kid around. Now, and this is not to say, I mean, I'm still his mom, but that'll be a separate journey as far as parenting a grown up because that's a different style of parenting. So it's like I'm in this space where I'm finally settled enough, not in survival mode. Things are extremely stressful and I am carrying a lot of weight, but at the bulk of it, my and my son's basic needs are met. So I'm not like struggling and surviving. So I'm able to do what I need to do in order for me to plan ahead. Do I hate that I didn't do it many moons ago like I was supposed to? Yes. But I think what's important is that I recognize that I need to do it now. And now I just need to hold myself accountable and get it done. I think a lot about my legacy. And, if I was to leave the earth today, knock on all wood, what is my legacy? What is it that people are going to remember me for? Did I make a mark on this world in the way that I intended to? Did I leave something memorable behind for my child? Did I leave an imprint in the lives of the people that know me? And thinking about that now, I feel like I haven't. And I feel like I have not done anywhere near as much as I know that I've been capable of. And now that things are settled and I'm in a position to do better, then that's what I need to start doing. So I guess you can call this thing that I've been in, I guess it feels like an identity crisis. And I don't know if it's a lot of things. It could be because I'm almost 40. It could be because I'm about to be an empty nester. It could be because, I'm single. It could be all of these different things. But, for so many of these years, the dreams and the goals and the aspirations that I've had, starting from when I had my son, it was surrounded around me having what I call a full family, having, a husband, having more kids. It was, I don't want to buy a house. I'll wait until I'm married. I don't want to do this. I'll wait until I'm married. I don't want to do this. I'll wait till I have this kid and have that kid. Pushing off all of this stuff. And then you end up in a space where you like, well, shit, none of that happened. And I had all of these goals rooted in this idea of a family. And it never should have been like that. Those goals should have been rooted in me as an individual, because if they were, then most likely they would have been executed already. So that's pretty much where my mind has been these last like 2 weeks. And a lot of it has caused me to feel like overwhelmed, overstimulated, and really just like just tired. And this is in the midst of so many other things going on, and which I shared a lot about on social media. I know I shared some on social media today, and I'm not going to go over that because I want to be cognizant of my audience. But yeah, let me see. I have 2 comments. That's my sister-in-law. Unfortunately, our plans for our lives are not God's plans. God removes people from our lives who don't deserve to be there. God sees and knows all way before it happens. So that was God's way of protecting you. Unfortunately, it's painful and uncomfortable. This I know. Yep, you are very true about that. A lot of times it is painful and uncomfortable, but you feel like that in the midst of it. But I feel like somewhere later on down the line, it makes sense. Like you had that moment where you like, okay, God, now I see what you were talking about. Now I see what you were protecting me from. And I've had so many of those moments where I look back and I'm like, I thank God for not giving me what I thought I wanted, because that could have been me, but he protected me from that. So yes, plenty of those moments. And then she said, we all have experienced that when we move on our own understanding and not wait for God. Yep. Bible says, lean not to your own understanding. And he may not come when you want him, but he's on time, So yeah, that's what I have been doing. So I said I'm feeling a disappearing spell. When I feel overwhelmed and overstimulated and like it's too many things going on around me that requires my attention or assistance or me to do something, I disappear. The difference is I was disappearing in another state. And this is my first time feeling like this here. And you disappearing in a city where people know, people, where they live. I don't know what that looks like. But I might have a period of time where you might not hear from me as much. You might not see me as much. You might not see me post as much. But that's because I really really need to get shit together for myself. And I really need to, what is it? Write a something, make it plain. Write a vision, make it plain. Sis, you know what I'm trying to say. Write the vision, make it plain. Some along those lines. That's what I need to be doing. And that's what I'm going to be doing, and finding some like balance in all of this. That's what I'm going to be doing. And I do appreciate the people that support me through those moments, and kind of love me through the midst of all that. Greatly appreciate it. So to close out, I'm gonna do a shift a little bit. I don't have a WTF segment. Social media has been so overwhelming with a lot of different things. I feel like this week, I feel like I've been posting and going, and I really haven't been in tune with everything that has been going on. Trust me, you will see, sis. God will send that husband you deserve. You have to be patient. I'm talking from experience. Yeah, I think I also need to figure out. I can't sit here today and say that that's that a husband in marriage is what I want. I can't sit here and say that. Now that like I said, now that I have experienced this peace and that part of my identity being shedded, I don't know. I think that if God has a funny way of putting that back in my path, I'll know, because he will not jeopardize my peace. He will not jeopardize my peace. And I'm really not in a space where I have any interest in being nice to men currently. Not at all. And so if he makes me want to be nice to him, then that's how I know. I have these markers in place where, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to switch now. Since I have been out, it's been almost a month now, but I'm going to do a quick little, like, Beyonce talk. So on March 29th, 2024, Beyonce came out with Cowboy Carter, which is by genre, it's a country album, but she said it's not a country album, it's a Beyonce album. And she meant that in every sense of the word. It's really all I've been listening to these days, for a few reasons. Number one, it's really, to me, in my opinion, like a dope ass album, like start to finish. The production, her and The Dream is somebody else who I used to listen to 90 Going North, like back in the day, and even recently, like he's still on my playlist. The way him and Beyonce work together, they make magic. She's literally the queen of transitions. If you listen to her last two albums, the way that these songs transition into each other, I have not seen anybody else do albums like that. If y'all know of any other albums where the transitions are this smooth and crisp and clear, please let me know, because I want to listen and I want to hear. The album has 27 songs, and it is a total of 1 hour and 18 minutes. In my opinion, there are no skips at all. I literally can play this album from start to finish. My favorites, I have Blackbird, Bodyguard, Spaghetti, Two Most Wanted, Levi's Jeans, Two Hands to Heaven. Let me tell y'all about Two Hands to Heaven. That is the sexiest. Listen, if you listen to Two Hands to Heaven, the song is 5 minutes and 42 seconds, right? When you start listening, you think the song is going to start a certain way. When you get to 3 minutes and 25 seconds, the way that shit switches into the sexiest shit, I have to keep replaying it so I can figure out when we even transition. It reminded me of like the 90s, like a Jodeci vibe. Like, she said, your love runs through me like lava. Okay? She said when she get up to walk, she want to feel weak. That's what she said. I she said he partied in Venus. No, feel like you partied in Venus and we woke up in Mars. The song is just sexy in general. Um, and the song she did with Miley Cyrus, Miley sounded. I have not listened to anything from Miley in a very long time. Miley's voice on that song and both of them doing that, the whole duo. I mean, yeah, so she pretty much debuted at number one. Um and the petty side of me loves it because you can pull up that image that you got up there now. Yeah, so you made it like a slideshow. Okay, I would just need to know. Wait, let me see. Boom, because then I have to talk about it in order. Okay, so I know what order to go into. So the picture that you're looking at now was from 2016. On the Lemonade album, she kind of got into her country bag with Daddy Lessons. If you listen a couple episodes back, I actually played a snippet of that. The picture that you're looking at now is her performance with the Dixie Chicks on the CMA Awards in 2016. This performance was very controversial for a few reasons. Number one, the oh yeah, I had put my sister-in-law on. We listened to Cowboy Carter when I was driving, chauffeuring them to Indianapolis a couple weekends ago. If I'm driving, y'all gotta listen to Beyonce. But they hung with me and they liked it. But this performance was controversial for a few reasons. Number one, Dixie Chicks had been canceled at this point, and I can't remember what they did to be. I think it has something to do with Trump, if I remember correctly. I actually am pretty sure it has something to do with Trump. I think maybe they put out that they supported Trump. I don't remember. So the fact that they were on the stage and then you bought this nigga with you. So it was like what, first of all, y'all are here, then you done bought this nigga girl with you. What is this? And so they had people getting up from the audience and they saying leaving, right? Walking away until they got done. They said after the fact that Beyonce didn't get a whole lot of camera time, they focused on the Dixie Chicks and they really only put it on her on certain parts when she was singing. And so her being in this space, there was so much rejection and so many people saying, you shouldn't be here. You're not country. And so she took that away and was like, oh, really? All right. I'm about to show you. Because this is the same person when she first came out. Y'all was saying she was too country because of how she was talking. And so now she's not country enough, huh? Apparently they did. And so the petty side of me, I'm so glad that she won in this manner, because on one of the songs, and I don't know why I'm blanking out on it, but on here she said something like, then she said the rejection came. They said I wasn't country enough, like I wouldn't saddle up. It's like she is from Texas, her mama from Louisiana. And, you know, in one of the songs she talked about, like, I'm a grandbaby of a moonshine man. Like, I have roots in all of these different places. And so she took this moment where she felt this rejection and she made this amazing project out of it. And I'm so glad that she had a chance to like have this win and really probably made them feel like shit. Cause to them, we don't belong in the genre of country when the reality is we invented the shit. Like we invented everything and y'all had took it, but now she brought it back. So what I love about this album is, number one, she had the greats on there. So she had Willie Nelson, and he did a couple of the interludes, and he was absolutely hilarious on there. So it was almost set up like a country radio station, and Willie Nelson was like the DJ. And he sounded like he was smoking a cigarette, and the screen door was swinging, or it gave very much country. But she also had Dolly Parton on the album, which we so affectionately dubbed Dolly P, because she did a Jolene cover. And the Jolene cover was awesome because, Dolly P was like begging Jolene, like, girl, please don't take my man, leave my man alone. Whereas Beyonce was like, all right, look, bitch, your peace depends on how you move and you don't want this smoke. So I suggest you move around. So she pretty much took it and put a spin on it. I feel like I kind of cued you by saying Dolly Parton to put the Dolly Parton picture up. But you over there doing a horrible job at multitasking. Yes. Now move the hand so I can read the words. Dolly Parton gets big boosts in streams on Spotify after release of Cowboy Carter. Now, Dolly was actually on 2 different songs on this album, Jolene, and then she was also on Tyrant, which is a vibe as well. Well, she kind of was doing like the intro. But what I liked is that she gave them all writer like credit so that they'll be able to benefit from it as well. Now, we all know who Dolly Parton is, but to see her be able to get this boost in streams after the release of this album is what we call the Beyonce effect. And what I like, and I feel like she doesn't get enough credit for, is she brings so many people along on her journey, and she doesn't ask for much, and they are able to benefit so much from it. So the next picture, do you see the picture that no, not that one. I'll get back to her. What's before? No, that one. So of course there are a lot of Black country artists. Some that stand out, you have Tanner Adele, you have Shabuzi, you have Willie Jones. On the album she also had Raina Roberts, she had Brittany Spencer, and then she also had let me make sure my volume is down because it's one who is this? I can't put Tierra, Raina, Tanner, Shabuzi, and Willie Jones. I said the first name, but I can't remember Tierra's last name.
There's another dude.
Well, it was only these two guys on the album.
Okay, you talking about the album?
Yeah. So Willie Jones was on Just for Fun. And it was only like a 3-minute song. And I kind of wish that she let him go longer because his voice was like silk. I love his voice. And then Shabuzi is like a country rap artist. He's super dope. He was on 2 different songs. He did Sweet Honey Buckin' and then he did Spaghetti. And then Tanner Adele, Miss Buckle Bunny, which I had already listened to her prior to this. She was on the album as well. The girls kind of did background vocals on Blackbird. Can you zoom in a little bit? Actually, zoom in quite. Zoom in. No, they're different. Scroll down a little bit. So zoom in and then scroll down so I can see the top. No, zoom out. I mean, because I want. Okay, the numbers are different. So if you look at this, it looks like I have 2 of the same picture, but the top shows the monthly listeners before the album came out, and the bottom shows after. So Shabuzi was already at over 1 million, but of course it like doubled. So many people have been benefiting from her putting out this album. Now, of course, people are like, oh, they were already out. We get it. We were listening to them. But how amazing is this boost for them? How amazing is this exposure for them? And so many other fans are hip to them now and listening to them. So how amazing is it that she was able to do this? Now, another way that she, like the Beyonce effect went into play, you could put on the Levi's one. So Levi's saw a 20% increase in their stock, simply based off the fact that she had the song called Levi's Jeans. Now, Levi's Jeans was featuring Post Malone. Random, right? Because last I knew Post Malone was rapping. But I think that he has dabbled into his country bag now. And what's absolutely crazy about that I thought about, she had Post Malone and Miley Cyrus on this album, right? Both of them have been able to cross so many genres as Caucasians, and nobody says anything. But as soon as a Black woman crosses genres, it becomes a thing. And that's just insane. Like Post Malone was rapping and now he in country, and we know Miley then bounced all around and nobody says anything. But when she does it, then it's a problem. Um, and of course, I am a huge Beyonce fan, Beehive all day. I'm not one of those fans that's like obsessed, that's gonna be trying to look up your address. I'm not about to cuss you out because you like, oh, I don't like her, I don't like this. What I don't like, and I think that this is me stepping out of the fan phase and stepping into me being a Black woman. It's sad that no matter what she does, she gets criticized for it. No matter what she does, she gets talked about and looked down, and she gets that from her own people. When she does so much and she gives back so much, and all of the ridicule and the hate, or most of it, comes from us as Black people. I saw a post the other day, and a girl had posted like Jasmine Sullivan, Brandy, Monica, and somebody else. And she was like, I don't like Beyonce, but I like these four. Like, why did Beyonce have to catch a stray? You could have just said you liked them and left her out of it. It's like this obsession with letting us know that you don't like this woman and that she's overrated. That's fine. You can have that opinion. In the meantime, let the people that enjoy her without you trying to insert this opinion that's really useless at this time. Tell it to the phone. Don't tell it to us. Every time she puts something out, you can't enjoy it fully because you got to deal with all the negativity. And I can't even imagine what that's like for her. And she worked so hard. Like, it's just, I couldn't imagine like being in her mental state. It probably, she said in a lot of different videos and documentaries that she's at the point now where she just really doesn't care, but it has affected her before. So to kind of close this conversation out, I think the most amazing thing about this album is the insertion of Linda Martell. So we're gonna go on a Black history journey. For those of you who don't know, I'm gonna read you the biography for Linda Martell. So Linda Martell, she's the first commercially successful Black female artist in the country music field and the first to play in the Grand Ole Opry. The very first one. What's sad about her is that she basically got ran out of country music by white people. And she never went back. So she retired from country music, it looks like, in 1974. She was going to play at so many different venues down south. They were calling her niggas, throwing stuff. As like the world was kind of getting to that place, civil rights movement started. It became too much. And then she went through a situation where her record company was very supportive of her and they were getting her bookings and they were trying to move her forward. But then they signed like this white girl around her age. I can't remember what the white lady's name was. They started pushing her more than Linda Martell. She brought it up to them. They're like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We got you. They started pushing her way more and they basically pushed Linda out to the point where she pretty much just left, went to live a normal life with her family. And it was almost like she was just forgotten when in reality, she was a pioneer. And so Beyonce put her on this album. She was on the interlude and then like the background of a few other things. She gave her writing credits, number one. The most amazing thing about this is because of this album, Cowboy Carter, Linda Martell finally got her first number one record in her career. And mind you, this woman started back in like, I think 50s or 60s. She's just now at her first number one record. And I just think that that is so amazing that in this lifetime, things circle back and she was able to finally get that number one record that she was working so hard for, and she wasn't in the right places. And I also like how her and her family have been showing Beyonce so much gratitude. Like her granddaughter was saying, we were going to send her a shirt, Beyonce a shirt, but she ended up buying the shirt and then some, and just like pouring so much into us. And we can't tell you how grateful we are. And so this, like, I love this so much for Linda, especially with her going through all of what she did, to kind of be able to say that she has a number one, record. I feel like it's just beyond amazing. And it's the Beyonce effect. Like it or love it, she's bringing people along on that journey. They're winning. And yeah, so you can take it off the screen. So if you've never heard of Linda Martell, I do encourage you to just go do some research on her, because it really is like, it's fascinating. The history of country music from our perspective is very fascinating. I feel like I've really been on my nerd kick lately, and I've been doing, when I do have downtime, one of the things that I've been doing before I go to bed, you know how you scrolling, but I've been productive scrolling. I really just been learning so much about so many different things. Like, I'll hear something random and I'll go and like research it and fall down a rabbit hole. And so Linda Martell was definitely one of those things that I kind of fell down a rabbit hole, which led to another rabbit hole, which led to another rabbit hole. So yeah, speculation, rumors state that the next Beyonce album is going to be a rock album. And I think that's going to be exciting. When she did her iHeartRadio speech, or some speech she gave somewhere, she thanked, I think the lady is named Loretta Tharpe or something. And she's like the pioneer, I think, with rock and roll or something. So I think she might be giving us a hint. But if you listen to the Lemonade album, she definitely got in her rock bag, her country bag, and all that all at once. So if she puts out a rock album, that would make me very, very happy. So yeah, that's all I had for today. I do appreciate you all for going along on this journey with me and allowing me to vent, even though I was rambling and it was all over the place. I hope that it made sense. And above all, I just want to say, never lose sight of who you are as an individual, no matter what titles you hold in life. Never lose sight of who you are as an individual. Always put yourself first, and make sure that the effort and the energy and the love that you put into everybody else, you do that same thing for yourself. And today I'm going to close out, since I opened up with my intro and I realized how much I missed it, I want to actually close out with my outro. And I think that that's what I'm going to be doing. So once my outro is over, the live is going to end. Y'all can catch the replay at some point. And yeah, here it goes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our final destination. Our trip has come to an end. As always, I appreciate you for taking this journey with me and allowing me to unpack my thoughts along the way. That means a lot to me. This episode will be coming out soon, and it will be available on all of your favorite streaming platforms. As always, I welcome any comments. Let me know what you thought about this episode. You can join the Facebook page, Conversations with Coco, and leave your thoughts there. You can send me a message directly and let me know, or you can click the link in the description box of this episode and leave me a voice message, and I will add it to a future episode unless you tell me not to. Again, thank you for spending time with me today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I love it. Until next time, I'm going to call y'all back. Bye.